Welcome to the Old Guys No Shit podcast in Dealercast Studios, where we bring together decades of automotive knowledge all together in one place. Here's your host, Old Guys Who Know Shit.
Hey, what's going on, Dealercast Nation? I am Jason Harris.
And I'm Rob Mudd.
And I'm Larry Bruce.
And this is Old Guys That Know Shit podcast.
No shit.
No shit. I never get tired of saying it.
I don't either.
I just enjoy it every single time we do one of these. What's going on, guys? How you doing?
Doing well.
Doing well? Got your coffee? You guys caffeinated? Ready to get into some stuff?
You don't want to see me on caffeine.
No, you're
It's
right.
actually true. I'm actually thinking about it, Larry. I don't think I've ever seen you caffeinated.
No, it's I don't need that.
Is this something that happened in 1988 and it was a one-time deal? Is it one of those stories?
It's a bad deal.
And we don't talk about it anymore?
It was a bad trip.
It's
Kind of bad trip and never went back.
Never went back.
Quick learner.
Yeah. certain things you just don't want to repeat. It was bad.
I totally want to see you caffeinated now. I really do.
Start shaking.
Max Headroom.
Can we make that one of the future podcasts? We'll make it one of the titles, like Larry Gets Caffeinated. Tune in for some crazy crap.
Speaking of,
I
don't think we'll go there.
No.
Oh, wow.
Hey guys, we got a cool topic today. Honestly, one of my favorite ones, and I love because there's just so many different directions we can attack this. But it's funny as often as I feel like this topic gets talked about, I still consistently do not see processes or marketing efforts or anything getting built at the dealership level around this. And we're talking about keeping customers in the service lane, tracking defection after the warranty expires. I'm hearing numbers of 60+% of customers walking away from the dealership from a service perspective once a warranty expires. Your guys' take on this?
Your number's low.
My number's low, is it? Yeah. I mean, where numbers? I've heard 65, I've heard 70, I've heard 75. Like, where are you at?
We're tracking numbers now. From us walking away from the dealership in the 90s.
90s.
Yeah,
geez.
I mean, it's not. The dealership. You got to look at it from the dealer's perspective, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, first of all, I got a hard enough time getting texts. And it gets harder every day.
Yep.
Every day. And then I've only got a certain number of bays. And you're not, I'm not just going to magically, the bay fairy is not going to come down to my dealership and go ding, 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 ding. That's not going to happen, right?
Yep.
So I've got a certain number of texts. I got a certain number of bays. I got to take the highest, most profitable service
product
ROs that I can generate. Period. So at the end of the day, I'm not going to drop my effective labor rate or my labor rates down to get people after the warranty. I'm just not.
But the most profitable ROs that come through a service department are high mileage vehicles.
As a percentage, yes. But as a matter of hassle and as a matter of overall amount of money, no. Okay, I get 60-70% on customer pay as a part of gross margin, but but you're talking small tickets, right? And where I get big ticket items warranty wise, and I got to take the warranty. I don't have a choice, right?
Sure.
All right. So I've got to take the warranty. I've got bigger ticket items. I get lower margin but higher ticket amount. I get more volume out of that. I don't have to go try to get it. I don't have to market for it. It just comes to me. That's what happens in the.
So is this like just a good old fashioned example of full belly syndrome?
Yes.
Like I'm just so full. Why do I really need to focus on this number?
Right. And that's but that also causes then the defection of the customer away from you as a dealer in general. Mm-hmm. You're not going to get the next car sale. You're not going to get the car sale to my kid when I need to buy them a car. You're not going to get me out as an advocate for you, bringing my friends and my coworkers to you. You're just a commodity. You're the guy I bought the car from. I go to get it serviced there because the warranty is good there, and that's assuming you're convenient. If you're not on my way to work. Or I can't get a vehicle, or I can't figure this out. I'm not on your drive anyway. So you got real problems, or real logistical things that you got to figure out in service versus sales, where it doesn't matter where you are, what you do. I need that car to go off my lot, and I don't care what I have to do to get it done. It's different. Service department is a logistical thing as much as it is a profit center, and it is a great profit center. And the best dealers have way over 100% absorption there. But
we used to talk absorption all the time.
Mm-hmm.
They don't talk about it anymore.
I'm kind of glad they don't, because for me it was like, for a lot of the dealerships I've worked with, and I've consulted with a lot of dealerships over the years. It's like once they hit the 100% absorption rate, they're like,
I'm done.
I'm good. I hit the goal, but there's so much more to be had here. It's just it's
also calculated differently. There's the absorption rate on a Ford statement is different than the absorption rate on a calculator.
Well, bigger the dealership,
statement.
the more than
at the end of the day. But at the end of the day, it should be just a standard. It's how much of your fixed cost does your service department pay for, right? Period.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's pretty simple.
Yeah, it is. It should be simple, right? But then when you get into the 20 groups, everybody wants to be the best guy in the 20 group, right? So now I'm going to. Which statement gives me the best one? And you're going, God, please stop! Make it stop! Make it stop! But at the end of the day, that's the trouble the franchise guy has with service is he's dancing between the manufacturer and the consumer, and how many bays I've got, and how many techs I've got, and the techs have to be a higher grade, and the amount of equipment that I have to get it. It's just so much that you almost make it a little hard to make money back there. But then again, there's so much money flowing back there. It's not you don't complicate it. It's complicated enough. Don't make it more. And that's why you run into that. That's why you run into that mentality of the dealer who doesn't think beyond the money in the service department, but the money in the service department bleeds over to the money in the sales department.
100%.
And so it's this vicious cycle that you need to be aware of, that if I sell the car, I need to service the car. And when I service the car well, I get to sell the next car. And the next car is not necessarily the next car you buy. It's the next car your family or your household buys.
Or your friend or colleague or something. Yeah, 100%.
It's the influence around you.
Exactly.
And you've got to keep that in mind, and dealers don't do that enough. That's the problem. They don't service them to sell the next one. Yeah.
And I have to say, like what does it say, to a dealer when I'm losing that much business immediately after that warranty expires? I mean, there has to be kind of connect the dots here.
They haven't seen.
Then they have a people problem.
But they can't see it, right? Well, because they're paying $700 a car for them to keep coming in the front door. They have no idea what's going out the back door. They don't know. I mean, it's only become recently that. When I say recently again, I should say recently again, because we were on this trip.
True.
We were on this trip from 1995 to about 2004. We were on, and then Google blew into the car business, and we got off this trip.
Yep.
And
we started chasing clicks and impressions that mean nothing.
Because we just started spending more money to try to bring them in the front door because it didn't matter anymore. And while you're right, I think brand loyalty has dropped some
completely. It's
but the dealership loyalty, there's still dealership loyalty to be had there. They're 100% in.
Oh yeah, for sure, especially in the smaller.
The dealership has a better shot at loyalty than the manufacturer does, in my opinion.
Because they got used cars.
Right. Well, and not only that, but that's my face-to-face interaction. That's my face-to-face interaction.
Yep.
And so,
and that's a good point. So I was reading an article today about interviewing a dealer, and he said, everybody talks about clicks and technology, but at the end of the day, when the person buys a car, they're going to ask, who's my sales rep?
Yep.
Who's my service rep? Who's the F&I guy I talk to?
Yeah.
Right?
Who's taking care of me?
Yeah, that's it. They don't care about those things, those technological things. They care about help.
Yeah. Who's taking care of me?
Help.
Right. Who's going to be responsive? Who's going to answer my questions? Who's going to make this easy for me to buy the car? Who's going to make this easy for me to finance the car? And who's going to make this easy for me to take care of the car?
You brought up a stat the other day we were talking that 50% of the service drive where your service customers didn't buy a vehicle from you.
Yeah. I've never seen a dealership lower than that. Not in my entire career of 30 years plus of pulling data out of DMS and doing an analysis on it. Never seen one child.
So is it just...
that says a lot.
I know. Does it say they're doing it right with 50% of the customers?
It could be that 50% of the people bought payment and they weren't anywhere near you.
50% of them,
somewhere else.
Yeah, 50% of them bought from you because you were the cheapest price.
Exactly.
But they didn't necessarily. They live
somewhere else,
100 miles from you, and you're not going to get that customer in your service department.
No.
Fair enough.
Yep.
Okay, but you're going to
pick up some other guys from 100 miles away.
Can you get rather than getting 30% of your service drive back or on your service, or getting the customers you sell on your service drive, can you get 40%? Can you go for a bigger number than you have now?
Yes,
right.
Absolutely.
That's
because most aren't doing that now.
Just improve it. Just improvements.
No, and you're right. So let's talk a little bit about improvements. Like what things are driving people from our dealership and over to independents? I think if we first identify those, then we can talk. Then we can actually talk about the process.
The same thing that drives everybody.
Convenience,
price and convenience.
But guys, we know that. But these independent places are more expensive. I mean, they've seen study after study after study. They're consistently 10, 15, 20 some odd % more expensive than the dealer. It's just, again,
it's a perception of price.
Is that what it is?
But most importantly,
they do such a good job in their marketing that they've owned this perception that they're cheaper, but in reality, they're actually more expensive.
It's just quite the opposite. It's not that they're doing such a good job in their marketing. It's that somebody somewhere has done such a good job of convincing everybody else that the dealer's more expensive.
Or the dealer can't get you into the service drive for 3 weeks, and your shit's broken. I got to get it fixed.
But if you ask 10 new purchasers, do you think the car dealership is more expensive for service than an independent shop?
Yeah, they'll say yes.
10 of them will say yes. They don't know that. They don't know that it's not. For so long, it has been perceived. Because
they bought the car,
right,
and the car was really expensive.
Right.
They think that the dealer is going to take them every single time.
It's just like Southwest, right? For years, they promoted themselves as the cheapest airline, but if you go look, they are not the cheapest airline. They are not. But they've got that brand recognition as being the most expensive.
So did they actually come out and say that, or
for
was
a long time?
Was this perception created? So
no, that perception was they were for a while, but was created with the companion pass and the $79 airfares and to nowhere. But you had the loss leaders, and they pounded it in your head, and now people just assume. Now you also over the last probably 10, 15 years, particularly with Southwest, it's now come down to how well they take care of the customer.
Right. Yep. And they're changing some things too on how you board, right? How you sit.
Right. So they keep Southwest is a great example. They keep innovating into what the consumer wants. Consumer wants inexpensive. Great, we had inexpensive. Now the consumer wants to feel taken care of. Great, we moved into customer service. That's they continue to morph into what the customer wants.
And their infrastructure was created to provide that, right?
But we've been taught we control the customer.
The deal, yeah,
Yes.
yeah, absolutely.
And
because
we don't.
No, we don't.
Well, the customer's perception exists regardless of what we do with it. But if we're not, and maybe this is my marketing brain coming back on, it's like, okay, well, someone's perception, that's fine. That's their perception. It's not the reality. Then from a marketing perspective, it's my responsibility
Create the perception.
to create the perception. Is that not what we should be doing as dealers then? Is correcting this?
You know, so the battle back in the early 2000s, brand versus retail, versus retail. I'm going to be a one price dealer. Good luck with that, right? The Ford collection or the Ford experiment, right? And they came out. So you can't change the makeup of the car business. You have to assimilate to the needs of the buyer in a way that you can sell a car, right? I mean, that's really what it is. Communication is people.
Yeah. Well, the customer has to feel like they're getting a good deal.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And the good deal for years, we always thought it was price,
Price.
but it's not price.
No.
I mean, actually, time has more to do with it than anything else.
Convenience.
Time, but also credit score, man. I mean, it's not, I mean, right?
I mean, that's. I think we've done a pretty good job of saying that's outside of our control, really.
No. But that's a big part of the deal, right? I mean, you can't come in and I want the Ford F-150, but I got a 320 Beacon and I don't have any cash. I'm at the wrong place. I might need to go get, the perception of the customer doesn't match the reality of the deal.
Yes.
Right?
I don't know. That doesn't really happen as much anymore at the dealer level that I see. I still go down, and I literally have taken it up within the last 2 weeks. I still take.
How'd that go?
It went pretty much like it went in 1983. Same thing.
Same thing. You threw the keys up on the roof and said, "Tough shit, you're buying it."
That was afterwards. That's not taking it up. That's the negotiation side. You're in the wrong spot.
Okay.
We're still at the beginning.
Yeah, we're still at the
My
beginning.
bad.
But I mean, so when it comes to when I shake your hand, hi, welcome to ABC Motors. I'm Larry Bruce, and you are. Mm-hmm. Is this welcome back or welcome in? And I start my process of qualifying the customer and getting to know them as a person and getting to understand where I'm at in this deal. That has not changed.
But that has been lost, what you just described, right? Because of what transpired with the pandemic and with COVID is the interaction with people. So we jumped a generation of salespeople that don't know how to interact with people.
And I would say we have the same thing on the service side.
Right,
as
but
well.
when you say that's a key point. When you say generation, though, people think 10, 15 years. In the car business, a generation of salespeople is about a year and a half, maybe.
I was gonna say 5, but yeah.
No, it's literally because we may
blow them out, but the people we
attrition.
bring back in are the same people.
There's a lot of retreads. There's a lot of retreads.
I mean that metaphorically, meaning that it may not be the exact same guy, but the mentality of that person or that generation is the same.
Yeah. Well, you would think, right? Is that at the end of the day, you're bringing in people who
need to be trained.
Yeah, they need to be trained. They're coming to work on
because what you just talked about was process.
Yeah.
Right. The only way you get a process is you're trained on executing the process.
I mean, there's this crazy thing. It's absolutely. And I don't know if you've ever heard of it. It's called the road to a sale.
Let's see
it still works today.
Elements of it for sure.
Right.
But getting back to the fixed ops side of the business, what I'm kind of hearing is, and this is true on the variable side as well. The art of storytelling for me, I think has almost disappeared. It's just we don't do a good job of really telling the story.
Well,
but
because
we understand.
no one has the patience or the attention span to listen to a story.
Well,
the Googles of the world
don't disagree,
right?
Yeah, I mean now we have to put it into a 15-second TikTok. All right, but they're still there consuming the story. It's just the formats change. I mean, we can complain about it or not, but they're still there consuming the story. If look, here's the bottom line for me, and maybe this is where I go. If you're losing this many customers, all right, that means that you are just not articulating the value proposition of continuing to do business with this. Because if this was the variable side, we wouldn't let that slide. But for some reason on the fixed ops slide, we'll let it slide.
Well, is that because of the operators? Most owners of dealerships. I don't know if
Maybe.
it's most. They came up on the sales side. Most of them, the ones I've come in contact with over my years, were started in sales. Not a lot.
Yeah.
The majority did not start in
service. No, most
But the
most
strategy of
GMs
telling a story doesn't change. It's just, are they just, again, is it back to what Larry was talking about when we first started here? It's just full belly syndrome. Like, hey, I've checked off my 100% absorption rate checkbox, and now I'm.
Well, no, I mean, they
done.
just don't have the hours to sell. I mean, they don't. They in a lot of dealerships, they just don't have the hours. Now,
But
there
after
are
the
some,
warranty expires, we just say we don't have the hours to do
even
bigger jobs now. Go somewhere else.
I don't have the hours. I don't. I mean, there's
Your Bay problem.
I mean, service has a logistical element to it. I can only service what I have the bays and the techs to be able to service to service. It's not like sales. I mean, if I have cars, I mean, even when I don't have cars, I can sell them. Right?
But if you have the ability to do 60% more business, and
if you
you're
have
just
the
gonna
capability to turn 60% more business out.
Yeah, so you'd
not
have
get it.
land. You'd have
Not
to.
get
do
it, but
we just
actually
need to stop
complete it.
investing in these Taj Mahals up front and actually start investing in what
Now
actually...
you're on to something. There you go. Right. Quit putting all that money. I mean, build more bays.
Yeah.
Build more, but then when you build more bays, you got to train more techs.
Well, okay, let's go a little bit back to the training techs because, I always kind of find this on the side, on the salesperson as well. Like, I don't necessarily expect to find someone, it's like no one really takes the time to actually have a training center. I was fortunate enough where I actually had some very well-trained, 20, 30 years in the business. I would call them foremen more than they were technicians. And, we put through a program of training new techs. It's like, I never didn't have a tech. I just had one in training waiting for, there's a proactive way to deal with this. If you don't have techs, that means you didn't take the time 9 months ago to start building one.
So where does the tech begin to be a tech? What age? Where is he coming out of? Where did that
I mean, generally, you're looking for a guy. I know I was looking for when it came to the way we did it. I was looking for a guy who is either one, just coming out of high school, or two, just coming out at maybe had been in junior college, and was kind of not just being secondary, higher education just wasn't his thing.
Sure.
Right, but he liked turning wrenches, and he liked working. So we stuck him on the quick change or the oil change, the oil change lane, and that's where they start, right?
Yeah,
and then they eventually move their way up.
I guess you're making my point is that I don't think kids are coming out of high school with the aspiration of
learning a trade.
Well, they're going to it. But if you go to any non-franchise, service entity, a Jiffy Lube and Midas, a Mr. Lube, look at the age of the people working there. They're all straight out of high school, so they're able to figure out how to get these people to come work there. I mean, I guess I might as well just go there and start poaching their people.
What was it? When you got in the business? What was the average tech making?
Oh, back then, an average tech was making between 45 and 55.
And today,
in the 80s, and today a good one's making 70, 80.
Yeah, double that. Yeah.
Sometimes a good, really, some of these really good techs, these high level techs are making over 150.
I just met one 24 years old diesel tech at a Ford dealership making $160 a year.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, and there's nothing wrong with making $160 a year and turning wrenches.
No, at 24 years old?
Yeah.
No.
There's nothing wrong with that
at all. Nothing wrong with that at 50 years old.
Right. Right, but see, that's the problem is that if you're not coming out of school and going straight into investment banking and going to be an investment banker, you're not successful. That's the mentality that we've been trained, or that's been trained over the last 10 years. That's not that's turning around some now. I see it with better car sales people, better people at that level. There's better people at the tech level. You're seeing that trade start to come back, but that's coming. It's only happening because it's getting so hard to find another type of job, right?
Well, I mean, the average college graduate now is making less than 50 grand a year.
Right.
Yeah.
And so
they've got 120 in debt.
Exactly. Well, minimum, yeah.
Yeah, and so they're looking at this deal, and everybody's everybody's looking for the 4-year degree. They want you to have all these things, and some of these kids that don't have them, they've got nowhere else to go but learn the trade, but they feel like they failed. And that's it. And they should.
It comes down to another perception thing. I don't think we're doing a great job of creating the story of, hey, come be a mechanic. All right, it's an amazing career. All right, as you start to kind of age into it, there's gonna be training and additional opportunities. Some of the best foremen I've ever worked with have been in their 50s and 60s. They're straight up Jedis. They put their hands on the hood and go.
And
number
they
3 is
constantly have to
misfiring.
keep learning.
Yeah.
They constantly have to keep learning.
The vehicles are changing so fast. I mean, it's a challenge now too, right? I mean, I think it's a great place for it to be. But again, if we're not telling the story out there, then we're not doing it. But again, I still, and you said it earlier, is it the operator, right? I'm going to have a little tough love out there. Like, dude, you're losing 60% of your business and you're doing shit about it. Like, I just don't know. Like, how can you just let that go and be cool with it? I also blame the manufacturer because the way they report. They tell these dealers they're doing phenomenal jobs, but the dealer's not looking at the right number.
Well, I think the dealers that are full in their service department are looking at the service department and they're saying, I'm full. And they're not saying, okay, but there's more business out there. How do I
expand it?
How do I get it? Right?
Yes.
How do I get it? And that's the good ones are doing that. And that's in any business, right? The good operators are going to go, okay, but if there's more business, well, why not go get it? The mediocre operators and the bad ones are going to just look at it and say, hey, look, I'm doing well there. I'm good.
Like one of the first dealerships I worked with was a big GM dealership. All right, service department was open 24 hours a day. Mm-hmm. All right. I thought that was insane. Mm-hmm. All right. I went there as an advisor for a few months and quickly worked into an assistant manager type role. And I took the leadership just so I could learn the commercial side of the business.
Were you in a big metro?
Holy crap. It was a big metro area, but we had nothing but heavy duty. Nothing but heavy duty trucks coming in at, 2:30, 3:30 in the morning. And these things had to be serviced and out within hours so that they could go back out and do what they were doing on the road. So it's like, but that operator, Bill, the business was there. He just had to go build it. Like it was
build it and they will come.
Well, I know some dealers even today that are doing 24-hour service and running 4 and 5 shifts on commercial or just consumer vehicles. That concept, it doesn't change the number of bays you have, though.
No.
If I can't get if I can't get that car out of the bay, whether it's 2 days, it's in the bay for 2 days.
Yep.
And I got to get it. I got to get it out of that bay, and another shift's not going to do it. Right?
Yeah.
It's got to get out of the. It's people that you got to get. It's man hours. It's man hours, and the man hours are going to take. It's like when we're developing software. You can't take 9 women and make a baby in 1 month. Doesn't matter how many software developers you have. You're not going. Adding more developers to it isn't going to fix it.
I think that might be the audio bite for this podcast.
Right? It just doesn't work. So that's the trouble in services. There is a logistical element to it, and some dealers are just at capacity and they can't get anywhere else. But if you are at capacity and there is more business, go figure out how you get the capacity.
Yeah.
But then now I've got to invest. So I go invest in another building. I build out 25 more bays. I hire techs for those bays, and the market goes to crap. And now I've got a.
Well, let's talk about even when the market goes to crap. It's still good for the service business.
You would think
it never goes away.
Right? You would think,
but it's a big capital expense, and so
it is a big capital expense.
And every dealer is getting hit, a new franchise guy, on upgrading their facility, sales, right? and then you got to get the tax up to standard.
I never
you gotta
really
run-
understood the upgrading facility thing. You're sitting here telling me how you're going to get rid of my salespeople.
Well, because
and make
that's
do all
their
this
brand. That's the brand.
Do
You're
all this
building their
online,
brand.
but yet you want me to have a pretty new facility that they can do where they do everything online. How do you? That doesn't make any sense to me.
Well, let's go back because you had said something, and I love finding a good rabbit hole, and you said something, and I wanted to come back to it because you talked a little bit about the $700 per ad budget.
Yeah.
Like, this is it's not sustainable.
No.
All
No,
right.
everybody knows.
And
It's
look,
impossible.
and if you look at the best operators out there, they're nowhere even close to this number.
No.
Because they understand where the business is. It's sitting in another department just on the side of me. I have
Profitability
to
is down
build a-
33%. I mean, how the hell can they?
Well, but I mean,
100%.
where it's coming from, and it's going to come from. It's going to come from these third-party lead aggregators.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
These
so
third-party, these
I
third-party listing sites.
Yeah.
their days are numbered.
They
don't
have to be.
I think they know it. They just don't want to admit it.
You know, I've been.
I mean,
telling
there's a
guys-
reason why cars is going into something other than online car listings.
Because here, how many? If I've got my inventory on 7 different websites, right, and someone's shopping. Remember shopping, and I go and see. Does it make a difference if I see your car 7 times at $4.99 a month? No. I only need to see that one time. And where would that best be? On my own website and not on somebody else's that they put in business because they got scared. So what was the biggest newspapers used, right? Newspapers' biggest selling tactic was the guy across the street is going to take this full page if you don't. Oh, shit, I'll take it,
100%.
right? Well, and then who are the guys that came into the lead or the third-party lead sites? The newspapers.
Right, but I mean, I used to ask this of Auto Trader all the time. I'll ask it of them right now. If everything's so great and you're just killing it, why do you need to spend $1 billion a year on advertising?
Yeah, and why do you use television to do it?
Yeah, well,
Yes.
I mean, you shouldn't, right? You don't. Everybody's going online. What are you doing?
And we that's another podcast because we can dive right into also their reporting.
Oh God, no! That is a whole other podcast.
Well, and then they
Get out.
brainwash the people that believe this stuff, right? That have big came in the industry,
Yeah.
and they believe it.
They can make up whatever they want. They can say literally whatever.
What do you mean they could? They did.
They do, and they got over on the best guys in the world of negotiating. Car guys.
Yes.
and they got.
Hey, look, we're way off.
We've got way off. But come back to service, guys. Kind of final thoughts. Look, the business is there. I think it's just a willingness, if as an
the
operator,
business is going to be there for the next 3 or 4 more years because the loan payments are getting stretched out.
Yep.
The negative equity is going to get stretched
Cars
out.
are 14
We did
years
it
on
to
the road.
ourselves. Own it. We did it to ourselves from 2019 to 2023. We did just own it. Go make it up in service because this is going to be with us for at least 3 more years. So you got to be prepared to service the vehicle longer.
Yes.
You got to be prepared that more people are going to go past their warranty now. For the first time,
100%.
For the first time in my whole life, I don't own a car, and my other car is paid for and out of warranty. I don't have a single car in warranty right now as far as the manufacturer's warranty.
It's becoming
Actually,
more and more common.
This is the first time this has ever happened to me.
Rob's got like 9 cars that are like that.
Right.
That lose their tires that they're running down the interstate.
Yeah, that one's still headed to Chicago. But at the end of the day, that's happening more and more with a lot of people. And so it's going to be, you've got to get in the service business just to take care of your customer, not for the money, not for anything else.
Bless you.
That's
Just
the reason
because
why.
you got to do it.
Just because you got to do it.
20 years ago, I met Greg Noonan. You guys all know Greg.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Greg has been preaching this forever, and he's right.
Yeah.
I don't know when people start to listen, right? Because this isn't new, what we're talking about.
We usually wait until it's like the very, very end. We're kicking and screaming and going, why didn't nobody tell us this? But we've been saying it for years.
Yeah.
It's process. It's working your process every day, right?
Yeah.
And that's habitual habits and doing the things that you got to do every day that are boring and not fun. And that's the grind. That's the business. That's doing it the right way.
We've all been in this this mode, right?
Yes.
Where you're doing something over and over again. It's really working well.
Let's fuck
And
with it.
and you think
screw with
and
it.
no, but you
Let's screw with
your head goes there, right?
Right,
Your head
100%.
goes, hey, maybe if I could change this or do this or do, and then then you quickly snap back. No, I'm going to do it the same way again because it's just been working. You snap back. That's the dealers that snap back and go, no.
Well,
This is
because
working.
they keep defaulting. Well, I'm at 100% absorption.
Yeah.
I'm good. I
Get
checked
to
off the box.
120.
Yeah.
You know,
I
only
think
knew a couple
200%.
guys
I'm
that
going to
were-
challenge anybody out there. 200% is the new number.
Fred Beans is probably there. You guys know Fred?
he's probably
He'd
past
never
that.
tell you.
No, he wouldn't.
He would
but
never tell you.
He is an operator. I mean, you can
Yeah.
go to school on that guy. There's a lot of guys out there like that, but Fred was and still is.
Yeah.
Great operator.
Great. I mean, there are probably dealers who are at that, but again, I think the dealers that are not, who have the hours to sell and are not at 130, 140. If you're not at 130, 140% absorption today, you're not doing it right.
I'm with you. I'm 100% with you. on that.
You're not doing it right. Especially, and the ones, if you have hours to sell
If
and
that's
you're
not
not
really-
trying to figure out how to sell those hours, because you're either your sales department's killing it, you're making money. If you're not trying to figure out how to make more money, how to help more people, how to do more, I mean, you're just kind of why?
Some of that could be that the guys that are running the service department aren't marketers.
No, I mean, many aren't.
Yeah,
But
Well, it goes back to what you were talking about. I also think it's leadership. too.
100. Oh,
Like
always
if you never actually spent time, I was fortunate enough that I had an amazing mentor that said, hey, if your objective is to go own a dealership, then you need to play every single
spot.
position
Yeah, absolutely.
before you ever get to that.
100%.
And, if I hadn't played service manager for that 9 months and really saw everything that went into it and all the involvement and all, I wouldn't have had the level of appreciation that I would today.
So we were on a call the other couple weeks ago with one of the big OEMs, who I won't mention, and we're in their preferred vendor program. And one of our guys asked a question, say, what's different between us and the other providers? Oh, the advertising strategy is much different. And then I chimed in, it's because we're an ad agency. All those other guys are tech companies. Right? And so the advertising is being run by tech guys that don't know advertising. They don't know the psychology of advertising.
Yeah.
They don't know the...
Well, they know how to get clicks, though.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's what-
yeah, sure, we can do that.
But that generation of understanding the psychology of advertising doesn't exist anymore.
It's rare.
Right? It's so anyway.
Yeah.
Those are the people that are running car businesses today, are the people that don't understand the psychology of advertising.
And that's why we see the retention numbers. Definitely one of the reasons that we see the retention numbers. Look, guys, I know we're towards the tail end of our time. This has been a really, really fun conversation. For everybody out there watching and listening, thank you for taking the time to check this episode out. If there's anything we said today that you need to share with a friend or a colleague or a manager, the biggest compliment you can ever give one of us is to share the show. It means a ton.
Or if you disagree with something,
Yeah.
you send us a note.
Yeah, and if you're
At our
if we,
website.
and if we pissed you off, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
It happens.
Yeah.
Thanks again for everybody out there watching, listening, and thanks, Rob. Thanks, Larry. This has been fun. You guys have a great day.
Thanks for tuning in to the Old Guys Know Shit podcast with your host, Old Guys Who Know Shit. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Happy podcasting.